Talking Again podcast.
Well, straight lines. You got to have good straight lines when you're dancing. Does that make any sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So how do you incorporate the straight lines with the flow? Because I know when you're flowing, you're feeling it and you're not really too worried about the straight lines, but how do you do both? How do you incorporate both?
That's a really good question. Lines come with how you elongate your body. So spatial awareness is key.
Mm-hmm.
Spatial awareness to the point that, like, even if you close your eyes and you take your vision away and you're just relying on two other aspects of proprioception. Proprioception is somatosensory, which is basically the touch sensation, your vestibular, which is in your like the ear canal situation, and then your vision. If you take your vision away and you're only relying on the vestibular and the somatosensory aspects, you should be able to know where you are in space. So like right behind me, right, you have your
my man cave fridge.
Yeah, right here should be a desk.
Yeah,
because I've already like analyzed my vision's been working this entire time. I should have an idea where this microphone is.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So, and I shouldn't touch it, right? If I know where I'm at in space. Your lines will then look better, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be like in first position out here. Your lines can literally turn into whatever you need it to be, as long as you get the full movement out that you want. So if you're like just like stopping yourself before hitting all the way, you're not going to get those lines.
Welcome to the podcast. Might talk a little shit, get a little brash. Might drink a little bit, smoke a little bit, vibe a little bit, laugh a little bit. Yeah, hosted by Fidel. Tell it like it is, only tell it real. Live every Tuesday, you know the deal. We talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. We're talking again.
What's up, everybody? This is the Talking Again podcast. I am here with Payton. You know what? I don't even know your last name.
Trollman.
Payton Trollman.
Yeah, Trollman. Yeah.
I always see you as Trixx.
Good.
So it's Trixx _dancer on Instagram, but it's Trixx, aka Aurora Star.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome name.
Thank you.
I'm not into Star Wars, but I know that you kind of get it from that, right?
No, it has a whole different wrestling backstory and everything.
Oh, because I know you do. You indulge a little bit in wrestling. You're known for your dancing.
Correct.
Many other hats. I know earlier you kind of teased about, let's list the things that I don't do, because you do so many things.
Yeah.
But dancing is definitely the foundation of it.
Yeah, I definitely identify primarily as a dancer.
Yeah. Where did that all get started? Because at first I'd like to say that I've known you I knew of you a long time ago.
When I was a little one.
A very little one. But I was always looking. I was like, at the parties, I'm like, this little girl, man, you were so brave, not brave. Okay. Confident. You were so confident out there on the dance floor. Like, you didn't care who was looking. You were out there dancing, doing your thing, and dancing to like the type of music that we had out there. Salsa, cumbias, merengue, whatever we had.
Yes. And to this day.
Still.
Your family, again, I was mainly raised around like in the Hispanic culture and everything like that. And one of my best friends at the time, which is a relative of Fidel's, is Cynthia, and I grew up with her family. I grew up with your family, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt most comfortable. To this day, I still am a technical shy dancer, but as long as like I have a support system around me, I'll have that confidence like you were just
What does that
mentioning.
mean, a shy dancer?
A shy dancer is someone who has the potential and capabilities of dancing, however, needs a trigger or needs like some type of release of like inhibition to actually allow it to occur, because the dancer doesn't necessarily want to get on the dance floor and like look like a show off, because obviously doesn't want to cause any drama, because sometimes that occurs for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And they don't know, sometimes they don't know how they're going to come off to other people, and they don't want to necessarily mess up a vibe. So like, I'm not as shy as I used to be, but I rather watch like the cypher. I rather watch other people dance, get the vibe, understand what's going on, before I necessarily
Yeah.
start it.
Yeah.
If I have a support system, if I have my dancers with me, if I have my boys with me, then I know like, okay, if I go first, if I start the circle, if I start the cipher, whichever, I'll have a support system to be like, all right, I can tag them in.
Yeah.
It'll be their turn to go in.
Yeah.
You know?
Have you ever started something and then never got anything reciprocated back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
How's that feeling?
Okay, that is that
Is
probably,
that an equivalent to walking into or having that dream of walking into a classroom without any clothes and just your underwear?
that okay. I've never actually compared it to something that is a good comparison. One specific cipher that I remember back when I used to battle up until 2015, I think I was battling. I was super ready. I was super like trained up, ready to go into battle, but we were doing like sessions first to like warm up and everything.
Yeah.
And I felt good. I felt good. I was watching everybody go. I was like, I'm going to go start my own circle because there was like too many people and I just wanted to start something new. So I went over and people followed because they're like, oh, okay, cool. We've already seen me dance in the past.
Yeah.
And then I started my own circle. And this was the first time it was the first time that it had ever happened, thankfully. And I did a back handspring into the splits and like as my finishing move.
Yeah.
And then like I pointed at another guy like, okay, your move to get in. And then he didn't. And then people just kind of went away and went back into the circles that were already circling us. And I was like, oh, well.
I guess that
I
didn't
feel
work out.
dumb. Yeah, I also lost my battle that night. So
Oh.
that was like a double. I think that was the last time I actually battled.
How does that work? Because I've seen, you see it on Instagram and these battles that break out. No pun intended when I say break out, but how does that work out? Like when you just like, hey, let's dance. Like, do you just point at someone? Like, do you start dancing point, or do you make the initiative before? Like, hey, we're gonna do this.
Okay. No. That's a really good question. So it depends. Some events are specific to, okay, these are battle events. You go to them.
Oh, okay.
They're dance events where.
So it's already predetermined that there's going to be a battle.
Exactly.
round.
So there'll be like 2v2s. There'll be like Jack and Jill 2v2. So there'll be a guy and a girl, Jack and a Jill, versus another guy and a girl. There's all style battles. There's breaker battles.
Cool.
There's power battles. So like if you're a power break dancer and stuff like that. The things that I would go to were typically they're already like battles, like the Great 1-8ers in the Valley. They would have a lot of events like this. They still do. And I would go as a freestyle dancer because I could do all styles. So I was always the all style because breaking is not my forte. It's like something I do, but like popping, locking, breaking, hip hop, fusion, whatever.
Yeah.
I would go into it knowing that I'm going to be versus somebody, but I didn't know who I was going against. So everybody would sign up. Then the judges would say, Trixx, you're up. Okay. DJ drops whatever they drop. I do whatever it is I got to do. I do it for however long.
Yeah.
However, typically it's like how you feel,
Yeah.
unless for whatever reason the host or whatever calls it like, all right, you're done. You've done too much. You've gone over. And then they'll say, all right, contestant number, la, la, la. Then they'll go up. What you're talking about, like that kind of battle, that's more like underground cipher battles.
Okay.
That is actually how it goes down. You go to an event, you go to a venue, you see another person dancing. Maybe there's already a circle and you can kind of just stare at them. You're like,
Oh,
all right,
nice.
they're fucking
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right. And you start feeling that competitive, like that little thing in the chest where you're like, ugh. And then you start feeling in your feet. You're like, I just want to battle them. I don't care if I'm better. I don't care if I'm worse. I just really want to fucking dance against them because you know what? I like that competitive feeling.
Okay, so was that what it is? It's a competitive feeling, like you want to prove, like, hey, I can hang with you or I can beat you.
Oh,
like,
I think it's a hang with.
Okay,
because I respect dancers. I respect hip hop dancers. I respect styles that aren't even of my own, that I don't have a lot of experience in. That it's just like, you know what? I fucking respect you, but I really want to just try. And I'm a very visual person. So however, like the person is dancing, I like to watch them first. I always go second. I prefer to go second at least. Because I want to first see like, all right, how do they move? What are their main moves that they do? Okay, I can do that. Oh, I can't do that. I'll stay away from that. Okay, I know I have a move that could maybe top that. Yeah. And then And it's always, depending on the person's attitude, it's a competition with myself. Like, this is going to elevate me. This is going to help with my confidence. This is going to help with my style. It's going to help with my musicality. This is going to help with my adaptability, my flexibility of being able to do any type of style, right? And then at the end, you'll notice the person's attitude. Do they go up to the other dancer and do they either shake their hand? Do they hug them? What do they do?
Yeah.
Do they do anything of respect, or they just shit on them?
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like wrestling. Like, are you burying the person, or are you giving them that, like, all right, you did it, and you do that handshake at the end, and then you
the nod,
walk
the
out,
pass
right?
of the torch nod type of thing.
Exactly. That's how it is, and that's how I've always ran, because I used to have people that would battle against me that I wouldn't want to battle. I was just ciphering for ciphering purposes. And then they would call me out. I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do this. Okay, they do their thing. I do my thing. Then they come at me again, and then they do something like cliche, but it's true, of you, like, you got served, or they just have complete attitude, and then they just like act shitty, walk away, like they're the coolest thing. I'm like, yeah, respect gone.
Yeah.
Like,
going back to ciphering, what does that mean again? Because I know you said it a couple times, but I don't remember quite what that was.
So ciphering, a lot of people know it from like rappers when they would battle each other. It then turned into like the hip hop arts, or it didn't turn into the hip hop arts, but it became a way where dancers would essentially come together, create whatever like dynamic they wanted to create, and would highlight their skills, and they would do like a trade-off, like whatever song was going on at the time, someone would go in the middle. And the difference between ciphering and battling is, you have an actual competition essence to it, versus, hey, this is what I'm capable of, blah, 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 blah. I'm surrounded by people that are of like-minded dance styles.
Yeah.
And it's more of like an inclusivity kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then battling is the competition side of it.
So it's kind of like a workout. It's like you guys are just kind of working out.
That's more of a session.
Oh.
So ciphers can occur in sessions. Battles can occur in ciphers.
Wow.
I know. It's a whole thing.
No, that's cool. I like that it's so technical, that it is technical. It's not just dancing.
Yeah. And you don't learn these things until you're in the world.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I was like, yeah, I battled. And then my friends were like, no, you didn't. You ciphered. And that, again, I started battling when I was 12 or 13 years old. That's because like I had like hardcore hip hop friends that would take me places, right? Or they would enable me to go places, or like schools. Like we would battle against other schools and stuff like that. So we had like our own crew. That's where, again, that's even where I got my nickname Trixx. When I was in 8th grade. Like, you had to have a dancer name, right? Especially if like you were going to go battle somewhere, because you had to have an identity. And I was like, yeah, I totally battled them. Like, no, you just ciphered. We battled, actually. And that's like, you don't know those things until someone tells you.
Yeah. Well, how did you get the nickname then, Trixx?
I would always hit flips. So I would always do tricks. And that was always like my one-up against whoever I was battling or ciphering with. Yeah. And so I'm an ex-gymnast. And my skills weren't that solid. They weren't. Yes, I was a hip hop dancer, but I wasn't a breaker. So I didn't have power moves. I was young anyways, and I didn't have formal training, unfortunately. So I knew I could always win if like I hit like a back handspring or like an aerial or something like that. Yeah. And it's basically a cheap pop, but it typically worked. And so they're like, oh, that girl's got tricks. So my guys called me that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Granted, it came with like, oh, like tricks are for kids kind of thing. So obviously I had to figure out a way to like offset that as I grew up. And literally since 8th grade, I've been Trixx.
That's funny, because that was one of the first things I thought of. Like, I wonder if she got it from Tricks or for kids. But then why would that doesn't make sense in dancing?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's literally Tricks that like, because I do tricks.
Nice. So where did it start though? Like you said, at 12 years old you started battling, but you had some previous dance history before that. You said you were a gymnast, or
I was a gymnast. Yeah, that has nothing.
That's nothing to do with dancing, but I thought you work in flexibility and all that, right?
It definitely great transfer of skill. Absolutely.
Sick ass core, right? Workouts.
Absolutely. again, my mom raised me on music. She raised me on dancing. She wasn't necessarily a dancer herself, but she loved dancing. She has really good musicality, really good ear and understanding of the arts, that she facilitated my ability to either discover music, bring music to my understanding, would put things on, right? And she would facilitate my ability to just do what I needed to do, however it was.
Yeah.
She did enroll me in hip hop classes, but my like attention deficit disorder was basically like wouldn't allow me to train.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a waste of money. And she just saw me like running around doing everything but taking the classes she ever enrolled me in.
Yeah.
So it was me doing my own thing, learning from MTV, Jennifer Lopez, like Fly Girls is what I thought I was going to be when I grew up.
Yeah.
Not
In
knowing that
living
Fly
color.
Girls wouldn't be a thing when I grew up. Paula Abdul, she would buy me all the Michael Jackson greatest hits, but like on VHS. So I had all the music videos. I had just about everything because my mom facilitated that.
Wow.
And then it got easier as I became an adult, because then I would hear about events. My mom would take me to the events. I would say, oh, Mom, there's this mixtape or there's a CD or whatever. She would get it for me. The only thing she didn't let me listen to was Snoop Dogg, which is hilarious because I love Snoop Dogg and I've loved him since I was little. And I think it's because I wasn't allowed to. Yeah. Now she loves Snoop Dogg. Absolutely loves him. But I would literally go to Tower Records to listen to his music, because at events I would go to, they'd play his music. And like I wasn't allowed to like see walk or anything like that, because
so your mom was like, you can't. Okay, you can't. Yeah. You could do everything, but you can't see.
I can't see walk. I can't listen to Snoop Dogg. Wow. And so I went
Did she understand what the sea walk was and the origin? Okay, that's why. Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Very much so.
Okay.
But for me it wasn't like I wasn't wanting to do it for those purposes. Obviously, I wanted to have it in my dance bank, because I wanted if someone pulled it out on me, which they had when I was younger. Yeah. And yes, I was young and it was happening. I wanted to be able to do it back, just to show like, hey, I'm on the same level, if not like maybe a little lower. But those were the two things that I remember as a child. Not listening to Snoop Dogg, not allowed to see walk. Crazy. So I'd go to Tower Records and I listened to Snoop Dogg on like the headphones and like that little closed door situation.
That's way before COVID, when you couldn't share, the headphones and stuff.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I had my friends who knew how to sea walk teach me how to sea walk. I learned clowning when I was younger, crumping and all that, because like those were the styles that I was being introduced to as I was growing up. You know what I mean? And my mom made most of that happen. She really did, up until like I could drive myself to my own events.
Yeah. Sometimes, like nowadays, like I have a 10-year-old, and I know that I'm not into the whole that hip scene. Like he would know like what artists are banging. Like I know, like it took me a while to know who Bad Bunny was at first. When they first asked me about Bad Bunny, I really answered, "Who is she?" I didn't know. I really didn't know. I didn't know. And then obviously, people started talking more about this guy, and I still watch wrestling. So I watched him at WrestleMania, and I'm like, oh, dude, this guy's fucking badass.
Wait, it took you up until WrestleMania?
No, I knew who.
Or like before like the 24/7 belt, or like.
I knew of him already, way prior to that, because
okay.
I said, who is she? And then they had to show me the videos, right? This is who he is. And then so on. But I didn't know the caliber of this guy. Like I knew everybody was talking about him. But I'm like, Bad Bunny, whatever. It wasn't until WrestleMania. I'm like, oh, well, now he's famous. He's WrestleMania. But obviously he was way more famous than that. But But going back to that is like, I don't know that style. Like I think I wanted to put him in dancing, and he doesn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But because he's always twerking or doing whatever, he twerks.
Cute.
He doesn't twerk as good as I do, but he twerks.
Excellent.
So
he'll get there.
He'll get to my level eventually. But yeah, so what I'm saying is like your mom was able to get like hip to it. She was hip to it. She wasn't that, like most parents are like not in the same level with their kids, and she was able to understand that, hey, and she pushed you to do that and more, helped you out with that. It was pretty damn cool. Other than the Snoop Dogg thing, I know.
I'm Thankfully, she loves him now. It's something that just happened a couple of months ago. It was so funny. She calls me. I'm in a photo shoot, right? She calls me. She goes, Payton, are you available right now? I need you to Shazam something for me. My mom doesn't have a smartphone.
Yeah.
She goes, I need you to Shazam something for me because this is a bumping song, and I really need to know who this is. And I go, all right, put it up to the TV.
Yeah.
Right? So she puts it up to the TV. It's Notorious B.I.G. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't need to Shazam this. And I tell her the song, and I actually forgot what the song is now. But I was like, oh, it's blah, blah, blah. She goes, by who? I go, by Biggie. And she goes, what? I don't like that guy. She goes, wait, do I like that guy? I was like, Mom, you've actually been listening to his music for a few years now.
Yeah.
She goes, well, I used to not like him. I was like, and why is that? She goes, I don't know. I go, exactly. And what matters now is that you do, and you understand, like, hey, it's all about the music, man. It's all about the music.
Key right there. I was just going to say it's all about the music. Forget about who they are or what they did. I mean,
she doesn't even know, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So on top of that, like, she just doesn't know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But it's moments like that. Like, she introduced me to Sir Mix-a-Lot. I wouldn't have known it was about Sir Mix-a-Lot because, like, if it didn't come on the MTV or on VH1, I wouldn't have known about him. She found the song, thought it was funny, got the the single, again, Tower Records, and was like, listen to this song. But I wasn't allowed to listen to Snoop Dogg. What?
yeah. That is crazy. But, I mean, that's cool that she has that ear and that for music to where, in dancing more than anyone that you have to have a passion for the music. You have to have a love for the music so that you can get not only for the timing, but I think it'll show in your dance performances. If you're not into it, you'll be able to see it, and that goes along with just about any kind of work that you do. But in dancing, most specifically, like, you have to love that music that you're dancing to, because
makes a big difference.
It will, right?
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
does translate into your performance.
Yeah, you'll see it in the person's musicality. You'll see it in their emotion. Like, do they go into their flow state, which is basically like them just letting go.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that person, like, they're really feeling it. The audience is like, wow, they're really feeling it. The dancer themselves is experiencing what we call flow state. It's actually been thoroughly still being researched on by, like, exercise physiologists and individuals like that. But for someone who, like, let's say I get booked for a gig that requires me to dance to a specific artist on a specific song that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
If I don't do my due diligence and, like, take my time and either learn that song or learn to love it, like, it's not going to be as dope as it would be if I, like, put on, like, the Gap Band for whatever reason. Let's just say, like, I could transfer it out and put on something by the Gap Band that I know that I love, like Drop the Bomb on Me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I could get down to that. But if someone says, oh, can you do, let's just say, a Bad Bunny song that I don't know of.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I could do it. It's not going to be as good as, like, me doing some other song that I really know.
Yeah. Oh, no, that makes 100% sense. Because, like, again, going back to it, if you're not feeling it, you're not going to be able to flow with it, like, well, you just said the flow stage. But how do you, I kind of read something about straight lines. You got to have good straight lines when you're dancing. Does that make any sense? Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So how do you incorporate the straight lines with the flow? Because I know when you're flowing, you're feeling it and you're not really too worried about the straight lines, but how do you do both? How do you incorporate both?
That's a really good question. So the lines are typically like a classically trained aesthetic that, dates back, like, ballet, contemporary, modern, but then modern is, like, more of, like, a fusion, and then there can be elements of hip hop in modern and contemporary. Anyways, lines come with how you elongate your body. So spatial awareness is key. Spatial awareness to the point that, like, even if you close your eyes and you take your vision away and you're just relying on two other aspects of proprioception. Proprioception is somatosensory, which is basically the touch sensation, your vestibular, which is in your like the ear canal situation, and then your vision. If you take your vision away and you're only relying on the vestibular and the somatosensory aspects, you should be able to know where you are in space. So, like, right behind me, right, you have my
man cave fridge.
Yeah, right here should be a desk.
Yeah.
because I've already like analyzed my vision's been working this entire time. I should have an idea where this microphone is, right? Yeah. So, and I shouldn't touch it, right? If I know where I'm at in space. Your lines will then look better, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need to be like in first position out here. Your lines can literally turn into whatever you need it to be, as long as you get the full movement out that you want. So if you're like just like stopping yourself before hitting all the way, you're not going to get those lines. But also, you can't really just call them lines at that point, right? Hip hop dancing isn't lines. We don't live in like a sagittal, frontal, transverse plane. It's everything.
That's where that line turns into maybe the flow. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. It's crazy how there's a science behind the dance.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Biomechanics and a dance science is its own thing. It has its own like separate research. It has its own PhDs doing research currently. There's not a lot, but there's definitely a lot. There's definitely more work being done right now for dance science. Yeah,
you think like, you hear a lot of people like that's like cumbias and salsa that just kind of feel the music and they just kind of go with it, right?
Vestibular and somatosensory. Yeah. Those are the individuals where you see them just closing their eyes and just
they feel it.
Yeah. You don't have to rely on your vision anymore. You just know it in your body. Yeah. You know it maybe with your partner.
Oh, that has a lot to do with it, like the chemistry, right, with your partner.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about when you just get with someone like, how you're at a club and you see someone dancing, feeling the music, you're vibing to it, and you just want to call them out, like, is that possible? Can they get a good dance flow with each other without ever having to dance with each other?
Yeah, it depends. It absolutely depends, because a lot of people try to get a dance with me.
Yeah.
And it's typically the wrong type of dance. It's typically that grinding situation.
Probably a guy
that's hilarious.
Probably a guy that had a lot of drinks, huh?
Confidence is key. And alcohol builds that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dancers recognize dancers, and dancers that have their respect for themselves will have respect for other dancers. So in the club, a dancer that recognizes another dancer will more than likely call them out. Like, I call out dancers in the club because I know I'd want to be called out for the right reasons. Yeah. You know what I mean? An individual who like wants to, let's say, do partner dancing or social dancing, like cumbia or bachata or something like that. Right, because those are things that I've trained in. Those are things that I love to do.
Yeah.
I will make myself like available, because obviously I'm dancing to the music. And if someone approaches me and asks like, would you like to dance? I'll say yes. So that person's already got the confidence, like, okay, that person knows how to dance. I want to work with them. Now, it isn't until you guys start working, like, is the chemistry there?
Yeah.
Does that person have it? Or did you see me and now can I even do it with another person? Like, that's a whole different world on its own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that why you think some of these Dancing with the Stars, they get that chemistry going where they've been dancing with each other for a while, and then you hear backstory, you hear they fall in love or whatever, this and that, because they have this weird connection?
Dance is such a unique form of communication.
Yeah.
It is such a unique motherfucking form of communication that unless you understand what it means to you, it can absolutely be reciprocated through like love or infatuation or different forms of attraction, basically, right? So we use it first as a form of attraction or a form of communication. And then once you're so close to another person, this is specifically social dancing. Yes, somebody can fall in love with somebody without like ever social dancing.
Yeah.
Because they just love how they dance.
Yeah.
But it's a different type of passion. If it's a different type of, I don't know, sometimes it's foreplay. You know what I mean? Like, it's just another way to understand the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I mean, it's not to say the least, but it is funny. But going back to the dancing and then having a certain chemistry, you did some wrestling. And you did some co-ed wrestling. Can we talk about the wrestling?
Oh yeah, we can talk about. I don't consider myself a wrestler.
Can we say that you had a cup of coffee with wrestling?
I adore you.
Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. But you did, and you did a partners thing, right? And a lot of tag team stuff.
I didn't. I was specifically
solo
a manager,
individually?
and
Oh,
I
okay.
only had 2 matches. One was a 1v1, which I was against a male, and then the other one was a 3v3. So there was a 1 female on each side, and then 2 males on each
okay.
side. So that was a 3v3.
Yeah.
But my thing was like I was just a manager who
So you're-
literally fucked shit up.
Oh, okay. Well, you did really good at it. I thought you were a wrestler at some point.
No,
But-
my boyfriend is the wrestler.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that's like has the whole package.
Yeah.
He promos. His psychology is on point. God, his psychology is so fucking on point.
Yeah.
And his aesthetic and his biomechanics and everything, his ring awareness. He's the professional wrestler. I'm just fortunate to have ever like been able to take classes with Millennium, to even be a part of the world.
Yeah.
That's all.
That is a form of a dance if you think about it though, right? It is. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so
Right.
glad. Yes. That
Yeah.
perfect connection.
Mhm.
Wait, elaborate a little bit further on it.
Well, I mean, the choreographed part of it, where you know the dance moves, you know the wrestling moves, and there's a certain way that you go in there when you go to a club and you spot out someone you want to dance with them. Same thing when you go to a ring, you have an opponent. Now you gotta have this match, but you gotta be in sync with the person, right? You gotta dance with the person. You gotta wrestle, and you guys gotta vibe at the same flow. Otherwise, you're gonna have a shitty match
Yep.
or a shitty dance.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I'm so glad you see it that way.
Yeah,
Because
no.
that's how I had to look at it too.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was like, all right, Payton, it's just like dancing. You're just learning a new style of dance where, you're gonna be falling a lot.
Yeah.
And you might get hurt and such, right?
Take a bump or two. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then if the communication isn't there, like I don't know what y'all know about calling it in the ring or such. I don't know.
We have some experienced wrestling fans out there, so
Okay,
they might know what you're talking about.
Okay, I'm not trying to kill the business. Kayfabe for life. If the communication is there, if you don't call it in the ring correctly, if you don't know your spots, if you don't know what to expect, because I don't know all I can speak about, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
You will very much so have a shitty match,
Yeah.
and it will so be seen, and there's only so much you can do to cover it up.
They'll tell you that, especially in the independent audience is gonna let you know right away if you're having a shitty match.
This is true,
They'll
which is dope.
They'll tell you, and which is dope. I've been to some matches like that, in Long Beach, LA, or whatever. But right away, man, you can see it if someone's having a shitty match, and you can tell right away, like they'll let you know, or we'll let you know, because I was part of it too. Like it's just,
I was part of it too. I was back in the day. Yeah.
And so
So I got in the ring and I was like, oh. Ugh.
But then that goes to we're kind of talking about it earlier. Like that goes to show you, like, how much is this person working out? How much is this person putting into, they're passionate about wrestling, but how much are they putting into it? You can have so much passion, but passion can't take you to that next level, right? You got to put some time, some work into it. I know, you talked a lot about it. Like we're talking about science, the in-ring shape, you went to school or you graduated?
No, I'm
Did you?
currently working on
Okay,
my
currently
doctorate of physical therapy.
for physical therapy.
Mhm.
How important is it to not only just in dancing and not only just in wrestling, but in dancing, to be in shape, working out, having those muscles, everything to support those joints so you could prevent those injuries?
It's literally that's your base, right? You want to, well, okay, yeah, what I was mentioning earlier was you essentially want to so in-ring shape is also different from dance floor shape.
Yeah.
But you want the tone, the musculature to protect your joints and everything like that.
Aesthetically, of course, right? It works
The aesthetic
out too.
is great for me, like just because I'm thinking more of it from like an injury prevention purpose, and that's what I always think about when I see my wrestlers or my friends who are wrestling. I always worry about the injuries. The aesthetic will come if that's what you're going for, but if you don't have the building blocks first of a strong rotator cuff to prevent dislocations. If you don't have strong quads and hamstrings that turn on at the right time to prevent your tibia from pushing forward too fast, that you might tear your ACL. If you don't even do jump training, you're way more likely to tear your ACL than someone like me who's been doing jump training since I was 3 years old because of junior Olympics and stuff that I trained for.
Yeah.
Like, I'm way less at risk for an ACL tear than my boys that I met in the ring because they don't have jump training. And this is also backed by science, thankfully, which is why we know these things, that we know there's protocols to train. However, into the independents, our girls and guys, you know, you don't have all the time to get in that elite level training.
Right.
And it's very hard. So if you can work on the basics of your body mechanics first, that's going to be more protective than you just getting into matches for the match sake of it. You know, like, yeah, you look good, and yeah, you might be like buff as fudge, female or male, but if your muscles don't turn on the right time, you're gonna dislocate something. You might you put yourself at risk. If your body mechanics aren't there, you might drop your mate. You might drop your tag partner.
Yeah,
you know,
that's career-ending things, right?
Unfortunately,
Do you? Well, I know we've talked so much about your dancing and what you do. And you're still doing it, you know, but you're saying you went to school for your physical therapy. Is that the thing that you want to do, or you still want to do the dancing? Like,
both.
Is it 1 foot in, 1 foot out on one of them, or?
Yeah, it's both.
Can we do both?
It's very challenging. It's very challenging. Ever since I started going into the doctorate program 3 years ago, I knew my life needed to shift, and it needed to shift to a focus of, this is my career, and if I can dance and still pursue my passion, then that's great.
Your passion of the
dancing.
Dance? Yes.
Because physical therapy is my like career passion.
Right.
That's my everything I've done in my life that's been active and dancey and artistic. Ooh, now I get to put it into a healing method, and I get to maybe help other individuals. Like, that's more sustaining for me. That's another form of catharsis. That's another form of performance, because I can help other people. You know what I mean? By that same token, though, I immediately learned after my first trimester that I need to dance. I can't not dance. And especially if I want to work with individuals that are performers, if I want to be that physical therapist for professional wrestlers, if I want to be that concussion specialist therapist, if I want to be a dance therapist or anything, orthopedic specialist, neurological therapist, my background in dance and performing arts is so helpful.
And what's going to give you an advantage over, I mean, the ones that aren't? Just knowing that, like you said, the background of it. Yeah,
it is advantageous of me to have, and I'm that much more fortunate because I was an athlete my entire life, as an injured athlete my entire life, because I didn't have proper training. Just because you're a coach doesn't mean you know how to train somebody. Right? You can be a coach. Did you get a bachelor's for being a coach? No. Did you get a master's for being a coach? No. Doctorate? No. Now, if you even had those things, would you still be a fantastic coach? Also, probably not. Yeah. It's very true. Nobody goes to school to be a football coach. Yeah. It's tricks of the trade that you learned while you were doing it yourself. And you're like, hey, I could do this. I got to a level of some sort. Now I'm going to tell other people to do the same thing. I couldn't take that as a student athlete in high school, in middle school and high school. I was like, I'm sick of being injured. I'm being told things by my coaches that, you know, can benefit me or not benefit me. And I'm seeing my other teammates getting injured, and I want to be an athlete or a performer or a dancer my entire life. What can I do to help me? Granted, I also had some great coaches that had experience saying like, hey, there's these things called physical therapists and athletic trainers that help individuals that are injured. You're either a motor vehicle accident or a sprinter in high school, that if you want to do a career in that, there are options. I was obviously high school and not going, I don't know what a physical therapist is, but okay, sounds cool to me. Yeah. And then I actually just wound up pursuing it after all.
So then the idea came in high school. That's when you thought, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, I had been doing track since 7th grade, 7th to 12th grade in high school. And I was always the fastest one up until like towards the end of high school when I was like, well, I'm not the fastest one anymore. But along the way, freshman year and sophomore year, I wound up getting severe shin splints to the point that I had microfractures in both of my tibias.
Shit.
And yeah, and you hear things like that and people are like, I got shin splints. It's like, okay, but like to what degree? Unfortunately, I had them to the degree that I shouldn't train. I shouldn't technically do anything that I was doing. So I had to like find other methods of physical activity to keep me going. So I didn't lose out on everything I had been building for so many years because I wanted to get a scholarship. Did not happen because of obvious reasons. And at the time I was like, I got to fix myself. Oh, there's a profession that helps people through these issues, that they help others fix themselves.
Yeah.
That might be something I'm interested in. So looked into it and pursued it.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very hard.
And expensive.
So expensive. Yeah. I'm at a private school. It's fortunate, beyond fortunate.
So
like night and day.
Yeah. But for sure, that's something that you want, obviously your career, but as far as like the field, do you want to try to do something in professional wrestling or dance in that kind of area? That's what you would love to, I'm sure.
That would be the ideal. Right now, I'm swaying. I'm between doing like going the neuro-based route because I really love working with individuals with neurological disorders and diseases, like children with cerebral palsy, multiple sclerosis, myasthenia gravis, things like that, things that are like really unique and I never even really knew were a thing outside of like students my mom maybe worked with when I was growing up. And then if I don't go that route, then I would do orthopedics, which is more musculoskeletal based, but there's always the component of neurological. Like just because I do an orthopedic route doesn't mean I'm not going to have an individual with a spinal cord injury. Right. Doesn't mean I can't see that indie wrestler that's had a traumatic brain injury and maybe isn't functioning as well. Maybe they have a balance disorder. You know, the spectrum that physical therapists can work in is amazing, even if you don't go in the specialty that you want to go into. Yeah. You can still have the opportunity to experience and work with the individuals that you want to. But my vision of grandeur would be to be a physical therapist for WWE, but that's yeah. that's my big vision.
That's good grandeur. Though. You know that you gotta dream big, right? You know who's damn. I think I had a guy on here. Shout out to Raymond from Chase Purpose. He has a sticker that says "Dream big, work hard," or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because like you have to dream big, but you also have to work hard at it too, right? Like you can totally be working for the WWE one day, like
as long as it's always in the back of my mind, it's there.
I mean, it's not just putting it out there. I'm saying you got to put that work and that time into it too, right?
Oh yeah, and networking is a thing, and all the above. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that definitely helps if you know someone.
I think I just put out a tweet today that was something to the effect of, don't be afraid to accomplish your dreams because that just allows you to even dream bigger and harder going forward. Like something like that. Yeah. Because once you accomplish it, you're like, oh shit, I can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well now I got to do something. Now I can like upgrade to the next one.
Yeah. Level up.
First one is like getting into physical therapy school. Like this is just the example, right?
Right.
And then next one's like physical therapy school plus performing still. Okay, I'm capable. I have a support system that enables me to do that. I'm doing well in school. Cool. Next would be graduating. Okay, cool. About to do that. Next thing, license. Now I'm a licensed physical therapist. Then a job. Then is this what I want to do in the job? Do I still want to go maybe the professional wrestling route? What other performance-based outlets could I do? Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. Yeah. You got to keep leveling up. You can't just stop with like, oh, I got my one dream.
Right. It's just about levels and moving and improving and getting better and better at what you're doing. So yeah, I agree 100%. So dancing, you went from, I know you did private events, clubs, the festivals. You have a festival coming up, right?
Yes.
May 8th.
May 8th, the Ukaipa Music and Arts Festival. It's I believe it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I work with a company, a circus company out of Long Beach that has been my mainstay since 2017. Like they have been my company.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They enabled me to do so much and capitalize on so many talents that like I don't even realize I have until the owner's like, hey, we have this. I'm like, I think I could do that. You know what I mean? But May 8th, Aerial Butterflies and myself included will be performing at the Ukaipa Music and Arts Festival, and it's going to be hot. So definitely wear your sunscreen, take an umbrella, get ready for that.
Yeah.
But I'll be doing aerial arts. We'll have stilt walkers and everything. If you want to be out with your family,
Awesome.
I highly suggest it.
Yeah. Now that everything's opening up and
Wear a
everybody's
mask.
starting to feel a little bit more confident to go out there, you know?
Yeah. It will be a socially distanced event. Like there are protocols in place, which is great because the companies that I have continued to work with during like the pandemic and such, it's been rare because of obvious reasons. But the events that I've worked and the companies that I've worked for, they've all had their protocols in place, thankfully. And that's why we've been successful, right? That's why anybody who's still doing what they need to do, pursuing their passions, we're doing the right things.
Yeah. Staying on top of it. Man, this has been fun. Thank you very much. No, thank you.
No, thank you. This is crazy,
No,
man.
this
This
is
is so
amazing.
cool. I really, really appreciate this. My first ever podcast or anything of the sort. I appreciate you for that.
Well, I knew I had to talk to you, man. When I first saw, I was like, Raw was shooting and he posted something. I'm like, that's Payton right there, and that's what she's doing. I'm like, oh man, I gotta hear more about this and see what she's up to. So, thank you again.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
It's what we do. It's
Yes.
literally what we do.
There you go. Oh, we didn't even get to pop these up. We want to
pop.
Let's close out the show with popping these things open right here.
If you watch the IG teaser we did earlier or yesterday, technically, Fidel found the Jack Daniels new, and now we have them. So I have the Jack Daniels whiskey and cola, which is dope because this is what I like have been drinking my whole life. And then he has the Tennessee whiskey, honey whiskey.
That's right.
And
The honey.
they are beautiful.
So good. You guys try them out.
Salud.
Salud. With that said, we just tapped into it. Now we're tapping out.
That's not a tap at all.
Now tuned in to the tap in. We talking again. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast. Might talk a little shit, get a little brash. Might drink a little bit, smoke a little bit. Vibe a little bit, laugh a little bit. Yeah. Hosted by Fidel. Tell it like it is, only tell it real. Live every Tuesday, you know the deal. We talking again. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. You now tuned in to the tap in. We talking again. Come on. We're live.